Here are 15 things that I absolutely love about my Mazda Miata. Now, we did this last week on the Toyota Supra, and now it's time to move on to the next car on the list, which is my Mazda, which also I may be selling in an hour, so Number 1 on the list is pop-up headlights. Ooh. But it's not just the fact that the pop-up headlights, it's the fact that you could control them with just a button right here and they go up and down and down and up. That's something I actually can't do on the Supra. I have to turn the whole entire switch to get the lights on, and even then there's a delay. So it's nice to have such a quick response by just hitting a button on the Miata. Number 2 is the simple interior. There's nothing extra in here. It's the bare minimum, but yet has everything you need. Which, when you think about it, is actually kind of funny because it's hazards, pop-up headlights, climate control, and radio, and that's it. No fancy buttons for rear defrost or anything. The most complicated you get is hidden here on the side, so it doesn't even take away from the look at all. Mazda was even so minimalist that instead of getting cup holders, you could just get different inserts for the center console. So you'd have this cup holder one, or you can get a coin holder ashtray. Number 3 is how it shifts, and it's so stinking smooth. Such a nice short throw between gears, which makes it so much fun to drive around and not feel like you have a big long stick that you're chucking between gears. You can't see it in the garage, but with my 3000, I realized that the throw is so much longer, and I've been so spoiled by driving this Miata in the meantime. The last thing you want while driving is to have your experience spoiled by having to have super long shifts when you're trying to go nice and quick between corners. So this makes it so much fun to drive, even just around town, to kind of zip through lanes absolutely legally. Don't be a stinker and cut someone off. But it makes obvious sense why shifting would be such an important part of the driving experience, and it's a part that I absolutely love on the Miata. You though, I don't know if I love you. We're working on it. Number 4 is the fact that it is a convertible, which means you can get the top down in the summer, or whenever. That's how convertibles work. But genuinely, it's an absolute blast to drive in the summer. Here where I live in Oregon, the summers don't get incredibly hot, so I can have it down all the time, and it's just absolutely a blast. I owned a 300ZX that was a convertible before I owned this car, and oh my goodness, it spoiled me. And then I bought the Miata, which I loved, and then I bought this Miata, which I loved, and oh my goodness, having the top down just gives it such a new driving experience, and especially on summer nights, that hits completely different. Also, at least I'm not one of those dinguses who bought a hard top for the Miata. Why are you paying $2 grand for a little roof? My goodness gracious, that's the one thing I don't get about Miata owners. $2 grand for a roof? You have an option. You can buy a car or you can buy a hard top. What? So you're gonna shine my shoes, I guess. All right, fine. You get 1 point of love. Number 5 is that it is small. This thing can literally fit anywhere, whether it be a parking spot or when you're weaving between traffic and you need to find that perfect spot to cut into a lane without cutting someone off. Do it legally, don't be a jerk. But I feel like there's not a single spot in the world where I can't park this car. And it makes it the most amazingly convenient thing in the world to be able to just get in, have an extremely fun time, but not have to worry about dragging something on the ground with this car or having to have a wide turning radius. This thing can just do anything, and it's like the most convenient thing in the world. Something you never ever think of when buying a car, yet this one manages to tick the box that I never knew I wanted ticked. Okay, now you're just kind of getting in the way. -1. Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, I get crossed up. Number 7 is the fact that the gas tank is tiny. It's about a 10-gallon tank, give or take. I think it's a little more than a 10-gallon tank, maybe 11. But nonetheless, this thing is absolutely amazing. Way back in the day when gas wasn't extremely expensive, it cost me about 30 bucks to fill up the entire tank, which is near nothing when you can get up to 300 miles in this tank, which meant I was getting about 200, but I was having fun. But again, it's not something that you think about extremely a lot. But again, compared to the other cars I have, which this one guzzles gas, and the van in the garage isn't really the most fuel efficient thing in the world. Both of those are rocking about 18 miles a gallon. To have a vehicle that can get anywhere from 24 to 30 miles a gallon, depending on how much fun you're having, it makes it so a trip to the gas station doesn't actually hurt as much. Number 7 is the fact that there is so much space in the engine bay. I know I said the same thing with the Supra, but oh my goodness, it really makes it the easiest thing to work on to have so much space in this engine bay. All you have to do is take this intake off, and from here to the side is all open, and even the stuff on this side isn't actually too cramped, all things considered. I mean, I've worked on quite a few cars at my time, quite a few, as in like 5 or 6, but I've done some decent engine work to a lot of these cars, including doing engine swaps on Supras before, and even though that one is easy, it's so much simpler working on a Miata like this. I'd be doing the Miata a disservice if I didn't mention how easy it was to work on these cars comparatively to others. Absolutely the best entry car you could possibly buy. I'll stand by this. I'm sure just about every single other car person in the world will stand by this as well. Number 8 is the fact that the front end smiles, and this is a scientific fact. Even philosophers have pointed out the fact that red cars that smile, that's what get guys going, and that's a fact. And you're still here, aren't you? Okay. Yeah. Meow. Hey, you turd. Number 9 is this trunk divot. Now, the trunk doesn't have much space to begin with, so every little inch counts, and just to be able to have something where they said, all right, we're gonna take the time to give you another 2 inches of space, it actually comes in kind of handy. You're never hauling anything more than groceries with this car on a short trip, but nonetheless, it is very handy to have that incorporated. And number 10 is the fact that this car has a luggage rack. This is one of the options that came with the car, and the fact that this one has it is really cool. I've never actually used it, but to be able to have something where I could strap a small bag on the back and go on a trip, it's very handy, especially, again, considering there really isn't too much storage space in in the rear end. And to finish up everything that I love about storage, number 11 is the fact that there is storage still behind the seats. I've driven cars where convertibles don't have anything behind the seats, and let me tell you, it's awful. But to have something like this where you can throw stuff behind, it's very convenient. And in fact, actually during the summer, I will throw a lot of things behind there, even with the top down, and they stay completely fine. So it's great if you're throwing like a Bible or something else back there on your way to church and you have someone in the passenger seat, which I rarely do. But this is so stinking convenient and I absolutely love it. So that wraps up the storage side of things. It's small, but very effective. Why are you back? You just scratched me in the hand, you dingus. Number 12 is the fact that there are speakers in the headrest on both sides. Yes, there are actual speakers. There's no speakers in the back of the car, so they decided to put them in the headrest, and oh my goodness, it's amazing. I couldn't tell you the science about it, but for whatever reason, when you have those speakers running, which they're always running, but whenever you have sound coming through them, it makes it sound like the car has surround sound. I'm sure it's something similar to the fact where you're wearing headphones and it's just coming right into your ears, so it sounds like it's coming from all around you, but it makes an incredible difference despite the speakers not being the highest quality. Yes, you still have to crank the sound up if you want to hear it when the top is down, but nonetheless, to be able to have something right there, it really makes a big difference. And the most surprising thing to me, aside from the fact that it makes it sound like it has surround sound, is the fact that it actually pushes out an okay amount of bass. Nothing ever to write home about, but enough where it could vibrate the seat just enough that it feels like you're getting more bass than you actually are. It really makes the whole song listening experience in a Miata that much better, which when you're cruising in the summer with the top down, definitely you want to be listening to music. And diving even further inside, number 13 is the fact that the gas and trunk levers are hidden in the center console. Yes, they're right there, which is really, really cool because, as I mentioned before, with the simple interior, it doesn't add anything weird. There's no ugly gas and trunk levers sitting right down there in the corner. Yes, it's ever so slightly more inconvenient, but nonetheless, it was made simply to make it cool. And when you heard when I was talking about the Supra specifically with the trim, I do appreciate times when car manufacturers do something that is cool simply for the sake of being cool. Number 14 is the fact that you can fill up the gas tank from any side. Doesn't matter which side of the pump you park on, the hose can always reach because the gas tank isn't stuck on the side, it's stuck on the top. You park with the nozzle on this side, can reach right across. Park on that side, obviously it can reach right there. Super small thing, but oh my goodness, it's so convenient to not have to worry about which side you're actually parking on when you pull into the gas station. Number 15 is the simplicity of the look. As you guys know, I absolutely love it when cars aren't overly complicated, yet still manage to capture that style just in the perfect way. And this car does that so well. I absolutely love the bubble look that it has in the front, in the back. I mean, my three dream cars that I'd love to own, my affordable one that I could eventually get is a 3000 GT, which I got, and that one has a bubble look. The one that's affordable in about 5 years would be the Mazda FD-RH7, which has that same look as well. And then my dream hypercar that I'm never going to own is the Porsche 918, which again has that same bubble look. I may be partial to it, but I think there's something absolutely timeless about the way that a car that has beautiful curves look as compared to one that has sharp edges. I mean, when you look at the Supra, it has those sharper edges and it looks amazing, but the wide body kit has extra sharp edges that I added on top of it to make it look a lot more modern. And it's something where, as you see, as time goes on, you have to do more and more add-ons in order to make up for the difference of the timelessness being lost on these bubble beautiful cars. Now, I haven't really done anything aftermarket to this car since I'm trying to keep it as original as possible, but I have done one thing, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, and it is, of course, the backup camera. Once I figured out how easy it was to get those installed, I've realized that they are the easiest and simplest and most effective helper in driving. Just to be able to have something see behind you when you're backing up, especially in an old 80s or 90s sports car where visibility can be a little waning. Not every single car has a huge back window like the Supra. But anyway, those are the 15 things that I absolutely love about my Miata. If you guys have anything to add to the list about your own Miatas or about your own cars or what car we should do next, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.